All right. Ever plugged in your phone and thought, oof, there's got to be a better way?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if I told you there almost was?
Huh.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a story that, honestly, it sounds straight out of science fiction. It's all about Nikola Tesla's quest to give the world free wireless electricity.
Yeah, Tesla, he's a fascinating figure. You probably know him best for his work with alternating current. That's the electricity that powers your home. But honestly, his ambitions went way beyond that.
I mean, free wireless electricity, that's a pretty huge ambition.
Imagine this. Back in the late 1800s, he was already picturing a world where energy just flowed freely, wirelessly, to every corner of the globe. It's pretty amazing.
I gotta say, it's kind of hard to even wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
It's like something straight out of a futuristic movie. So how far did he actually get with this? Was this just, a pipe dream, or was he really onto something here?
So Tesla, he was a brilliant mind, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
And he laid out his vision in this article he wrote back in 1904. It was called The Transmission of Electric Energy Without Wires. And in it, he said he believed he could actually transmit power through the Earth itself, not just through the air.
Through the Earth itself.
Oh.
Okay, this is getting interesting.
Yeah, and to do this, he said he needed 3 key things. A really powerful transmitter, obviously. A way to isolate and direct the energy so it wouldn't just, dissipate.
Okay, so make sure it went where it was supposed to go.
Exactly. And then finally, he needed a deep understanding of how electrical currents travel, through the Earth and the atmosphere.
So it wasn't just powering a light bulb across the room. He was thinking on a global scale.
Absolutely, global scale. And he actually drew some inspiration from a scientist named Spencer, who was doing work on the human nervous system.
The nervous system.
Yeah, Tesla believed he could isolate those energy signals in the same way our nerves isolate impulses.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible analogy when you think about it.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Where did he actually start putting all these ideas into practice? Where did he actually start working on this stuff?
Well, in 1899, he built this experimental station in Colorado Springs.
Okay, Colorado Springs.
And he specifically chose Colorado because of its unique environment. It had this really dry air, high altitude, frequent lightning storms. And, in his writings, he describes the area with this real sense of awe.
So it was almost like he understood the power of nature and he was trying to tap into that?
Yeah, absolutely. He recognized it as just this perfect natural laboratory for his research.
It sounds like the setting for a mad scientist movie, Tesla as the eccentric genius.
I can see that.
But what did he actually discover there, in Colorado Springs? What was the big breakthrough?
This is where things get really interesting. So Tesla, he discovered what he called stationary waves in the Earth's crust.
Stationary waves.
Yeah. Imagine plucking a guitar string. The whole string vibrates, right? Tesla believed he could do something similar with the Earth.
Wait, so he thought he could make the Earth vibrate?
Well, not vibrate exactly, but he thought he could send these electrical pulses through the Earth, and they would resonate at a specific frequency.
So instead of wires, he was using the Earth itself as a conductor.
That's exactly it.
That's mind-blowing.
It is pretty incredible. And, this is where that idea of free electricity really comes in. He believed these stationary waves could be used to transmit power over vast distances with almost no energy loss. He even wrote about how potentially anyone, anywhere in the world, could tap into this energy.
Okay, now I'm starting to really see how this could have changed everything, the whole world. But if Tesla was so close, why aren't we all enjoying free wireless electricity right now? What happened?
Well, that's where the story kind of takes a bit of a tragic turn. Fueled by his discoveries in Colorado, Tesla set his sights on an even bigger, bolder goal, building a system that could transmit power across the Atlantic.
The Atlantic. Wow.
Yeah. And he started construction on this massive tower on Long Island, New York. It was called Wardenclyffe Tower.
Wardenclyffe Tower, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that, it wasn't just supposed to transmit power, right? I vaguely remember reading something about messages and even images.
You're right. Tesla actually envisioned Wardenclyffe as this multi-purpose, almost like a marvel.
Yeah.
It could send messages, images, and even power all wirelessly. And remember, this was even before television existed.
Right. So was this tower, was it designed to use that same Earth resonance concept?
Exactly. Transmitting energy through the planet itself. Just incredible.
It is incredible, but didn't this project ultimately fail? What went wrong?
It's a tale of, ambition, financial struggles, and maybe, just maybe, being a little bit ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time, yeah. I can see that.
To build Wardenclyffe, Tesla needed serious financial backing, and that's where J.P. Morgan comes in.
J.P. Morgan, yeah, the financier.
Right. He was this powerful financier who saw potential in Tesla's vision, so he agreed to fund the project. But as things progressed, another inventor, Guglielmo Marconi, started making headlines with his own wireless technology radio.
Oh, right, Marconi. He's the one who managed to transmit a signal across the Atlantic, wasn't he?
Exactly. And while Marconi's system was definitely simpler, less ambitious than Tesla's, it was also a lot more practical at the time.
Right. More straightforward technology, probably cheaper too.
Exactly. And that really shifted investor interest, including Morgan's, towards this technology that seemed more immediately viable, like something that could actually make money right away.
So even with Morgan backing him, the timing just wasn't right for Tesla's vision.
Unfortunately, that's pretty much how it played out. Tesla asked for more funding. He wanted to scale up Wardenclyffe and really incorporate those wireless power ideas. But Morgan, seeing Marconi's success, he refused.
Oh, man, that must have been a huge blow to Tesla.
It was devastating. It basically led to the project being abandoned in 1906, just a few years after it started.
What a heartbreaking turn of events. I mean, to be so close to realizing such honestly, a world-changing vision, only to have it slip away, it really does make you wonder, what if Morgan had just kept funding Tesla? What if Wardenclyffe had actually been completed? What would the world look like today?
It's a question that keeps historians and scientists up at night, that's for sure. The potential impact of Tesla's vision, if it had actually happened, it's almost impossible to grasp.
Okay, so I'm ready to dive into those what-if scenarios. Imagine a world with free, readily available wireless electricity everywhere. How would our society, how would it have evolved differently? I mean, it boggles the mind.
The possibilities, they're endless. No more power lines, no more dependence on fossil fuels. I mean, the entire energy landscape, how technology developed, even global politics, everything could be radically different. It's pretty amazing to think about.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to think about all the possibilities, all the what-ifs. And, even before Wardenclyffe, before that big project, Tesla had already filed patents for systems that were meant to transmit electricity wirelessly.
Really? So Wardenclyffe wasn't his first attempt at this?
Oh, no, not at all. He seemed to be constantly pushing the boundaries, always trying to find new ways to make this work. It was like this driving force for him.
So what did these earlier systems look like? Like, how were they different from Wardenclyffe?
Well, one patent he filed back in 1897 describes this method that involved using the earth and these elevated terminals to create a conducting path for the electricity.
Okay, so kind of similar to his Colorado Springs setup.
Yeah, very similar, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And you know what? He even suggested using balloons or even flying machines to hold these terminals high in the atmosphere. Balloons, flying machines.
Yeah, he was thinking big even back then.
So he knew that elevation was important even in those early designs. But why didn't these earlier systems work? Was the technology just not there yet?
That's definitely a big part of it. I mean, remember, this was the late 1800s. The technology they had for generating and controlling the extremely high voltages that Tesla was envisioning, well, it was just in its infancy. It's like trying to build a spaceship using bicycle parts,
I get it. So the tools just weren't quite there yet.
Right.
But then with Wardenclyffe, he had more funding, he had more advanced equipment, and he'd already done those experiments in Colorado. So what was different this time, besides just the sheer size of the project?
Well, this is where things take another interesting turn. Initially, Tesla's main focus with Wardenclyffe, it was actually on communication.
Communication.
Yeah, he wanted to prove that he could send messages across the Atlantic faster and more efficiently than Marconi's radio. It was like this battle of innovation, and a matter of pride for him.
So it was a competition.
In a way, yes. And, when Marconi beat him to the punch, when he sent that first transatlantic radio signal, that's when Tesla shifted his focus.
So he decided to double down on the wireless power idea.
Exactly. He saw this opportunity to kind of leapfrog Marconi to create something truly revolutionary. And I think this shift also tells us something deeper about Tesla's motivations, about what was driving him.
What do you mean?
For Tesla, wireless power wasn't just about convenience, like getting rid of wires. It was about something much bigger. He wanted to democratize access to energy, to free people from the limitations of the existing power grid.
Wow.
He truly believed that this technology, this wireless power, had had the power to uplift humanity, to create a more equitable and sustainable future for everyone.
That's a really powerful idea. But let's be honest, was it really feasible? I mean, could his technology actually have achieved that? And were there any potential downsides to this idea of widespread, readily available energy?
Those are great questions, questions worth considering. While Tesla's vision was absolutely idealistic, the practical implications of truly free, unlimited energy, well, they're pretty complex. Would it have been managed responsibly? Could it have been controlled? These are all hypothetical questions, but they lead us down these really fascinating paths of speculation.
It's mind-boggling to think about all the possibilities, both good and bad. But shifting gears a bit, haven't there been attempts to kind of revive Tesla's wireless power dream in more recent years? I mean, we have wireless charging for our phones and some other gadgets now, so clearly the idea hasn't completely gone away.
That's right. There have been some really interesting developments lately. In fact, back in 2007, a group of researchers at MIT, they demonstrated this system called Wetricity, and it could actually power a light bulb wirelessly from a distance of about 2 meters.
Wait, really? So is this like a direct descendant of Tesla's work? Did they use his ideas to make it happen?
It's actually based on a different principle, something called resonant inductive coupling, and it uses magnetic fields to transfer energy between two coils that are tuned to the same frequency.
Okay, so a different approach, but the same basic goal.
Exactly, to get rid of the wires and make power transfer more seamless.
I see. So what happened with Wetricity? Did it take off?
Well, the MIT team actually got a grant from Google to explore the potential of Wetricity for charging electric vehicles.
Electric vehicles?
Yeah, imagine this. You park your car over a charging pad, and it charges wirelessly.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, though it's still in the early stages of development.
So maybe Tesla's vision wasn't so crazy after all. Could we be on the verge of a wireless power revolution, even if it's not exactly how he imagined it?
It's definitely possible. I mean, technology has advanced so much since Tesla's time. We're seeing wireless charging pads for phones and other devices becoming more and more common. And with companies like Google investing in this research, who knows what breakthroughs are just around the corner?
It's pretty exciting to think about. So while we might not have achieved Tesla's full vision of a world powered wirelessly by the Earth itself just yet,
we're starting to see glimpses of that future emerging. And maybe someday, thanks to the continued work of all these brilliant inventors and scientists, we'll finally unlock the full potential of Tesla's dream, that dream of free wireless electricity for everyone.
Now, wouldn't that be something? It really makes you wonder what other technological marvels might be just around the corner, waiting to be discovered. What seemingly impossible ideas might one day transform our world. It's a lot to think about. And we'll keep exploring that very question as we continue our deep dive into the world of Nikola Tesla and his quest for free wireless electricity. It's really been fascinating, talking about Tesla and this whole idea of free wireless electricity. It's hard not to think about how relevant it is to everything that's going on in the world today.
Absolutely.
We're dealing with climate change, energy dependence. The demand for power just keeps growing. It makes you wonder, could wireless power actually be part of the solution to some of these problems?
It's a question worth asking for sure. Imagine a world where we could just beam power, efficiently and safely without all these wires everywhere. It could completely change how we generate and distribute energy. Think about it. Solar panels way out in the desert beaming clean energy to cities thousands of miles away, or wind farms for the coast powering homes without those giant unsightly power lines.
I mean, that sounds amazing, almost like something out of, like a utopian sci-fi novel. But yeah, okay, let's be realistic for a second. What are the biggest roadblocks, the hurdles that are standing in the way of actually making this happen? What's stopping us from having wireless power everywhere right now?
Well, honestly, efficiency is still a big challenge. We've made progress, like you mentioned, with Wetricity and things like that. But transmitting power wirelessly over long distances and doing it without losing a lot of energy along the way, it's really complex.
Right. And then there's the safety aspect, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, beaming all this high-powered energy through the air, it sounds kind of, risky. What if something goes wrong? Could people get hurt?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. Any new technology, especially when you're talking about energy transmission, you have to be super careful. You have to make sure it's safe for people and for the environment. But the good news is that researchers are working on ways to mitigate those risks, to make it safer.
So how are they doing that?
Well, they're focusing on these technologies like magnetic resonance. They use relatively low frequency fields, which are generally considered to be safe for humans.
So it's not just about making wireless power work. It's about making it work safely and sustainably, too. It sounds like a huge undertaking.
It is a huge undertaking, absolutely. But, harnessing electricity in the first place, that was a massive challenge, too. And look how far we've come since then.
Right, that's true. We figured that out. So what needs to happen to make wireless power a reality?
I think it'll require advancements in a lot of different areas. We need progress in materials science, power electronics, and a much deeper understanding of electromagnetic fields and how they interact with living things.
It's a tall order for sure. But you said it earlier, human ingenuity, it has a way of overcoming these seemingly impossible challenges. I mean, look at Tesla's work with AC electricity. That paved the way for the entire modern power grid. Maybe that can inspire future generations to figure out this whole wireless power thing.
Yeah, I agree. Tesla's story is a great reminder that even those experiments that maybe didn't work out exactly as planned, they can still spark our imagination. They push the boundaries of what we think is possible. Who knows, there might be other groundbreaking innovations out there just waiting to be discovered, and maybe they'll be inspired by Tesla's work. That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really makes you think, what else is out there? So while that dream of free wireless electricity, the kind that Tesla was really striving for, it's still elusive, for now at least.
Well, his legacy lives on, right? He continues to inspire us to explore new possibilities in science and technology. And hey, maybe someday we will actually realize his dream, a world powered wirelessly, cleanly, sustainably.
It's definitely a vision worth striving for. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Nikola Tesla and his quest for free wireless electricity. Who knows, maybe one day we'll look back on this conversation and be amazed at how far we've come. Thanks for listening, everybody.